What's up, party people? All right, we're live. As I burp on stream. What is going on? So wait for some people to get in here and we'll start chatting. Sure everything's going good. Positivity, what's up? Ant, what's going on? Last week I did not stream because we thought my mother-in-law, if you don't know, has dementia, lives with us. She thought she might have had another mini stroke. So we were worried about that. And then over the weekend, she fell and broke 3 of her fingers. So the mother-in-law fun has been fun. So she had to get an ambulance come out, get her off the ground, take her to the hospital, 3 fingers broken. So on the mother-in-law front, not going well. Other than that, everything's going good. Big Nasty, Snap-on, or Matco hand tools. It really depends on the tools. Well, yeah. And yeah, that's family's more important than YouTube. Yeah. Snap-on has a lot of good tools. Their impact sockets, chrome sockets, their wrenches for sure, way better than anything Matco currently has. Matco's impact swivels, however, are much better than Snap-on's. They last longer. They don't, the joints don't wear out as fast. I personally prefer their ratchets, but that's personal preference. Don't count the new ratchet they just came out with that has a bunch of problems, but Snap-on ratchets have been good to me over the years, but I prefer Matco's grip. That's the big thing with me with their grip and their locking mechanism, but that's a personal preference thing more than features and benefits, but for the most part, that's how I differentiate. Snap-on makes good hand tools, but Matco does make good stuff as well. That I'm talking about their US made swivels, not the ADV. The ADV are Sunex. They're made by Sunex's parent company. So I don't know whether they're exactly the same as Sunex. Seem to be, but no, I'm talking about the actual Matco, really expensive swivels. They're made by AJ Manufacturing, the same company that makes their ratchets. Positivity at a new shop, GMC dealership, now going to have a Mack truck. Which Mack tool is worth it? I've never really had great luck with Matco's hardline tools. Their US made wrenches, they don't feel that great in the hand. Personal preference. They've got some import wrenches that are better than that. But their swivels, which are still made the same way. I know a bunch of people that have Mack swivels and they just break pretty frequently. And so I wouldn't recommend getting your swivels from them. Their air tools are great. Of course they have the rebranded DeWalt stuff, which is pretty good. But, I haven't had a lot of experience with Mack hardline tools. I didn't like their ratchet. Let me rephrase that. I didn't like their grips on their ratchets. I've got big hands and their handles are just way, way too small. James Jones, glad you can make this one. James Jones says, my Snap-on rep isn't releasing the new ratchet until he can get rebuild kits because he heard they break kind of easy. Yeah. Yeah, they're very problematic. They're real easy to switch directions incorrectly, so you'll be ratcheting and without touching it, and it'll reverse on you, stuff like that. Eric Jono, what's up? Aunt D, Matco's locking flex head is much better in my opinion than the Snap-on locking mechanism. Exactly. I cannot stand the Snap-on locking head. I bought one and it was always it always wound up disengaging the thing because it was just right at the right point where it would just, release it and it wouldn't be at the right angle anymore. Have to reset it. I traded it in. Positivity Incarnate. Tips for a tech going from independent to dealership. I'm not going to get into the politics part of it because that considerably changes between dealerships. Learn your diagnostic codes, that warranty codes. Learn the warranty system. The biggest thing on getting paid is putting down the right operation number. I believe that's what most call it. So you get paid for what you did. Dot your T's, cross your I's. No. Dot your I's, cross your T's. Per example of that not going right. Paperwork. That's the biggest thing with dealerships is making sure your warranty paperwork is in line. Because if it's not, it'll get charged back to you. You can usually, as long as you didn't do anything wrong, get paid on it, but it will delay pay. But the more you learn that system, the more effective you're going to be at that dealership. Because that's the thing, is a lot of it's going to be warranty. Which new Snap-on ratchet is having issues? The 100-tooth Synergy, I guess is what it is. They're brand new ratchet. Everybody's having, I haven't bought one, but everyone that seems to have issues with it. Brian McFarland, what's up? Zephyl, how something feels in your hand is very subjective. Sometimes you want something that's rough and gritty for grip while you're working in a hydraulic drench. Yes, that's one of the things I always tell people when it comes to tools is it's personal preference on a lot of stuff. I thought I would hate the Matco grip because it's got balls at both ends and it just doesn't look comfortable, but it is. I much prefer the comfort grip, whatever Matco calls it, over the Snap-on comfort grip. 100% subjective. The Mac one, perfectly comfortable grip for somebody with smaller hands than me. But for me, it's just way too small. It feels like I'm holding a 1/4-inch ratchet when I'm got a 3/8. But yeah, it's 100% subjective. Wrenches are the same way. I know people that love because Mac's wrenches are just a kind of squared off bar. And I know people that love that. I personally don't. Big Nasty ran over my M12 stubby 3/8 with a bus and it still works. That's cool. James Jones, true that. Dealer warranties will kick back for the smallest thing. Yep. just simply something as simple as you didn't type in everything right. I mean, that's in order for the dealership to get paid, to pay you, the warranty claim has to be submitted and approved. And that's a lot of it's been years, but I've had conversations with dealer techs, and that was the biggest thing that made a lot of people quit the dealership, because they didn't want to learn not how to fix, vehicles. They didn't want to work the system, and you have to work the system to make money at a dealership. You have to know, oh, if I put this code in there, diagnostic or whatever, they don't really pay diagnostics at a dealership for warranty in a lot of cases. I think GM pays 0.3, but if you know a test that goes along with that warranty claim can be approved, it might be the difference between making 0.3 on a diagnostic, actually checking things, to making 0.8 on that diagnostic instead, or something like that. So it's really important to learn the warranty system, and it will make you money. The dealership, it's not really the pen anymore, but it is the pen. Your computer terminal will make you way more money doing stuff right there than in the bay. Oh. All right. Zeffel, if you work the dealership system too hard, can you get charged with fraud? The only way you get charged for fraud or something like that at the dealership is if you say you installed parts and you didn't. If you get caught abusing the warranty system, they'll just charge you back. And they may charge you back a lot if you're really flagrant. Most times it won't get approved if you're, trying to screw over the system. So that's probably not going to happen. But the biggest thing is install the parts you're paid to, especially safety components. Ant D, a lot of my M12 tools has fallen down off 10 to 13 foot ladders, still work. They're really good. The battery cases don't seem to hold up as well. No. I have not broken any of the new batteries from Milwaukee. I don't have a lot, but those seem to hold up better. The redesigned battery case seems to be more durable. But, I've dropped every Milwaukee tool I have ever owned has been dropped at least half a dozen times. Big Nasty, automotive is playing with customers and playing with the numbers, and Diesel is fixing things that need to be fixed. Big Nasty, diesel warranty diesel dealerships deal with the same stuff. Yes, but there is some truth to what you're saying. The biggest difference in diesel and automotive is the guys driving diesels need the truck back now. Customers, they can shop around, they can decide to put it off, whatever. So there is some truth to it, but Zeffel, you're going to have to tell us what that trick is, because I don't know what a 10 extra hours per dealership job. James Jones, I have similar issues with the new M12 batteries coming loose on the stubbies still. I haven't had that where the clips break or they lose connection. If they're losing connection, I've got a battery here. Bend those springs out. If you kind of go in and pry those springs out, what happens is they get worn in, and the stubbies, especially with the vibration, they'll lose contact. So if you kind of go in there with a pick and kind of pull it back out, it'll help with the connection issue, because that's what it is. It's a connection issue, not a it just loses connection, if that's what you're talking about. And D, there's plenty of time manipulation in both diesel and fleet. Oh yeah. Zeffel, I feel sorry for anybody who has to troubleshoot emission systems, especially diesels. I troubleshoot emission systems all the time. It's not that hard. The sucky part with diesels is DEF. DEF is just horrendous. Okay, so you're talking about the battery literally falling out. I haven't had that with the new batteries. But yeah, it was a big problem with the old batteries. So I guess I haven't experienced it enough. I mean, I've got plenty of batteries. Sounds like a flex. So I just swap out batteries, and, I don't even think about what battery it is. So, but yeah, that does suck if they're still doing it. Well, I will share some, since chat's kind of slowed down a little bit. We got a new puppy. Puppy about 8 months old. We are currently waiting for a DNA test to come back to tell us what the dog is. LOL, that's a big flex. Got a face of a Chihuahua, a body of a terrier. My daughter's boyfriend's brother found the dog. He lives in a rural area, and they already have purebred dogs, so we wound up with another dog. He's a cute dog. He but we wound up with another dog again. So that makes 3. Add some super glue to the locking tabs. Yeah, Zeffel. Andy, diesel emissions and DEF isn't too bad with the right scan tools. The parts are bigger and a lot more expensive. Yes. DEF just kind of sucks to deal with. Not on the diagnostic part of it, just the goo, the crystallization. Embry Smith, I have a lot of KD, even wrenches. You don't hear much about KD tools anymore. Chris, what's up? James Jones, for real, I'm going to super glue a piece of cardboard behind the locking tabs. Zephyl DNA comes back as a Caucasian Shepherd. You're in for it. Follow, what's up? Positive Incarnate. Took my Trax 19 to a shop because I thought I needed a cat. Was told I needed a valve cover, intake, turbo, cat. Did some more research. Replaced valve cover and coil pack fixed issue. Well, that's good. Bolo, what's up? T. Corrales from last stream, we talked about over under torquing stuff. I'm in the process of heating up lug nuts. They're in there good enough that the 1-inch Ingersoll Rand air impact can't get them off. Damn. Dig K1, are you doing questions? First time to the live stream. Well, welcome in. Yes, I answer questions here. Talk about tools and other stuff. Pure blood for life. I still have quite a few KD tools from back in the day. Yeah, KD got bought out by Gear Wrench, I think. Yeah, maybe. D Young 58. Any recommendations for a digital multimeter? I'm trying to refine my electrical skills, but I'm using a cheap Harbor Freight special right now. Get a good fluke. They're a more accurate fluke that is for automotive is not really expensive. That's pretty much going to be the best bet for readily available, affordable. Is just go get a automotive fluke. Would be my recommendation. There are other brands. You know, you can get a Fluke 17B for $145 on Amazon. I mean, obviously there's other models and there's some other brands. Nova has one for $100. Going to be okay. I would probably just spend a little bit extra and get a Fluke. Obviously you can go up to really expensive Flukes, but you know, but yeah, just get you a Fluke. Corey asks, what would you recommend for a CO2 HVAC diagnostic setup? Go to AES Wave and get the Bullseye spray and a CO2 detector, both from Bullseye. You can get the hose attachment to pressurize the system from them as well. And that's really all you need, and along with a CO2 tank and the detector and the foaming spray that it will detect a leak. Works really well. The cans are one-time use is the only problem I have with them. They basically use them once you're done. Positivity Incarnate, would you be willing to explain what the PCV system does in a car and why it can throw a lot of codes when it has issues? Yeah, sure. So PCV stands for positive crankcase ventilation. Now, PCV systems on modern cars are a little different than an old Chevy or Ford. They pulled a little bit of vacuum through a valve and it was just dumped down the intake. Nowadays, and this came from European, the reason it sets codes is it actually pulls a slight vacuum on the engine. Best measured with a manometer, not a vacuum gauge. But what it does is the engine is now a sealed part of the intake system. So what that means is you have let's say the PCV valve, the PCV diaphragm fails and you have a vacuum leak through that system. The engine that's part of the intake system, the air intake system, now has a vacuum leak, which will set lean codes, idle codes, et cetera, because that system is no longer sealed. That's the big thing about the modern negative pressure PCV systems is it puts the entire engine under that slight vacuum. When you disrupt that system, you have a vacuum leak, regardless of whether it's in the intake system or in the PCV system. Most times with the PCV system, it's kind of separate, but part of the system, like the Volkswagen system where you have the PCV valve that goes on top of the, cam cover, but it still routes because of the vacuum system design of the crankcase, it pulls vacuum. Hopefully that was not rambling and a decent example. But yeah, it's because the engine is sealed under a slight vacuum. So a crank seal or a rear main seal blows out or starts leaking, oil can get out, vacuum can, it can pull air in, and you will basically have unmetered air. Embry ideal meters, it's another good one. Charles Johnstone, Matco basic multimeter is good as well. James Jones, I have a set of KD wrenches from 6 to 42, 1/8 inch to 3 inches from when my grandfather was deployed in Vietnam. Used them for rears until recently, not broke one. Yeah, no, they made good tools back in the day. Zeffel, talking to T. Corrales, are you sure the 1 inch can't get them off? You just have it turned up the pressure high enough. My general experience is that brake studs, if it stays. He works on heavy equipment. So chances are that 1 inch is what would normally get those lug nuts off. Dig K1, I'm a carpenter that plays mechanic on the weekend. Looking for a recommendation on brake bleeders, vacuum, or pressure. Thanks. Brake pressure bleeder. Oops. There we go. Nope. Go to motiveproducts.com. You want to use a pressure bleeder. Vacuum bleeders, in my opinion, don't work real well, especially if you had the system open. They tend to not pull all the air out. You want to go to a pressure bleeder. Now, Motive Products is basically a pressurized container. You put brake fluid in there, but make sure you get one that has the proper reservoir cap for your vehicle. And they have combo units and stuff like that. GM, import. European uses one standard, more or less. But yeah, go get a pressure bleeder from Motive Products. They're not expensive. They're $100 or something, $100, something like that, depending on what kit you want. Mighty-Vac brake bleeder. Vac bleeder is a good tool. I personally prefer pressure over vacuum. I've redone many times vacuum bleeds. and could not get all the air out, had to go to a manual pump. So I prefer a pressure bleeder anytime I can. Pure Blood Ideal is my trusty backup meter, 20 years and still works well. I got the snap on because I'm getting blind, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm in the same situation. I've got the big screen snap on because of the big screen. And I usually have it somewhere and I'm trying to look at it, and bigger screen makes easier. Brian McFarland, years ago I had steel rims rusted onto rotors on an old truck. The tire place used sledgehammer. No luck, wanted to cut off with a torch. I loosened the lug nut slightly, drove it 20 feet, hit brakes, worked. Yeah. That'll work too. I've never had a wheel I could not get off a hub. Make sure if you're hitting the rubber that you have a lug nut on, because I have actually didn't realize that I was helping another tech, and he didn't have a lug nut on there, and it went 2 bays over. Luckily, no damage, but I didn't realize he didn't have a lug nut on there, and he was hitting it before me. Zeffel, that's one of the reasons why I recommended Fluke, because Fluke comes with really good leads. I don't know what leads that one comes with though. Doesn't show. But yeah, good leads are really important for a DVOM. James Jones, what would you say a fair rate is for a new ATEC in South Carolina area near a big city? I don't know what you mean by a new ATEC, but I'm just going to go out as a new tech. Damn it. Clicking things I'm not supposed to. 40 to $55 an hour flat rate. That's flat rate. In that same range for hourly as well. Probably a little less for hourly, but that would be what I would expect a tech to make in a big city in the Carolinas. Charles sent someone just asked about that. Can you explain the proper way to install a machined oil pan to a machined block using nothing but sealer? Example, 6.7 Power Stroke, 6.6 Duramax. We've had 2 this week that someone else did it completely incorrectly. The previous installers, the Duramax previous installers, luckily it didn't blow up the motor with how much Permatex they put on it. Positivity, I'm glad I could help you on the PCV system. Charles. If you're putting 2 machine surfaces together or 2 non-machine surfaces together, and the surface information requires sealer, a thin layer of sealer on very clean surfaces. Clean. The biggest problem I see with text on an RTV sealant on like oil pans is not having a proper clean surface. If there's oil on there, it's going to leak where that oil is. I've done it myself. Trust me. If like you're doing an oil pan in a car that, runs and all that is, had oil in it, some point you're going to have oil run out onto the mating surface. I normally soak the crap out of a shop rag with brake clean, have it in reach, and then I scrub the crap out of that area. If there's, oil coming down, scrub the crap out of it with that brake cleaned towel, flip it around, clean it again with a clean surface, slap the RTV pan on there, and immediately start putting bolts in. But it should be an extremely thin layer. If you see gobs of it coming out, it's way too much. Normally, how I do it is I will, like, let's say a pan, I will lay it down and I will run my bead around the pan, and then I will take my finger with a glove on it, and then I will run my finger along that bead and spread the RTV out so it's an extremely thin layer. So basically it's just on the surface, and usually have a big old glob of RTV on that finger and a very thin layer on the gasket or on the pan. And then you bolt it up and torque it to spec. You don't need gobs of it. More RTV does not make it seal better. Trust me, more RTV does not make it seal better. And I developed the method of the brake clean soaked rag from having a comeback because I wiped it with a rag, put it up there, and it leaked exactly where that line was. The accessories to that thing, though, D Young 58 sounds good. I order one now. I misdiagnosed the VVT sensors on an Equinox because my meter read 40 ohms. Rechecked with my Foreman's Fluke and it read under 10. Solenoids, not sensors. Yeah, I read it as sensors, but immediately went to solenoids. So, yeah, leads are one of the biggest things when it comes to anytime you do an ohm check the resistance of your leads. A lot of times you will find your leads have a lot of resistance. So make sure and check your leads. Anytime, I don't do a lot of ohm testing, but anytime I do any sort of ohm test on anything, I check my leads first. And then, let's say my leads have 4 ohms of resistance. I minus that from the total of the resistance I'm running. So check your leads every time you do ohm testing. Chris Storback, have you heard of legal pushes to require AM radios in all cars sold in the U.S.? No, I have not. A lot of emergency broadcasts are on AM, so not surprised. But no, I haven't heard that one, Chris. Drail, I have heard of. No, what's his name? Damn it. But yeah, I have heard of them. Photos. But yeah, okay. I know a bunch of people have gotten stuff from him, so I haven't personally used him, but yeah, I've heard of him. If it's not broken, fix it. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, please. Thank you. I appreciate it. Cody Draws. Hey, I've been doing body work for almost a year now. I was thinking about going to school for mechanical side soon. If you want to get in the mechanical side, get in the mechanical side. I personally didn't enjoy. I took some body working classes, hated it. So I prefer the mechanical side any day of the week. MT, flat Flat rate, do you like 3-bond sealants? Yes, absolutely. My go-to is 3-bond. I love the 3-bond branded form in place gasket. That would be Toyota's form in place gasket. That's what I normally use. Love that stuff. Aunt D, I've had good luck with paper towels, starting fluid, cleaning the surfaces. Yeah, no, that'll work. I generally, places I've worked haven't had paper towels that don't leave a bunch of crap, and they will just get destroyed by pretty much any chemical. Nobody has, like Scott shop towels. They've always got the crappy junk. So I wind up using the cleanest shop rag I can find. Chris Storback, EV cars can interfere with AM, so it's very expensive to have manufacturers leave AM off, so it will make EV cars even more expensive. Well, alrighty then. Yeah, that makes sense that they haven't been adding AM to EV cars if there's interference, And Chris, I'm sure you've heard California is losing millions and millions and millions of dollars because everybody in California switched over to EV and they're no longer getting enough gas tax. So they're having to figure out how to tax EV drivers because they don't buy gas anymore, which is hilarious for California. T. Corrales told new guys plenty of times, don't let RTV substitute a good cleanup job on your mating surfaces. Exactly. Especially on wheel seals, clean it up good. And Conment also states not to use any silicone. The cleanup, prep is way more important than, as much as I like 3-bond, cleanup is way more important than the actual RTV you use, as long as it, is good and cures. I've had problems with certain brands not curing. But yeah, no. Cleanup it, having it, cleaning it is hugely important. Honda Bond from Jeff L. Honda Bond's good as well. Honda Bond's a little harder to get a hold of. 3-bond's a little more readily available than Honda Bond. Chris Storback, laughing my ass off. I own 2 hybrids and it's additional $100 for tags every year. EVs are $200. Yeah, but that doesn't cut it when you're, how much of gas is taxes for the state? They're losing money like crazy for roads on EVs. Scientist, hello boss. Hope you're doing well. I am doing well. Hope you're doing well as too. Reporting here to gain some knowledge. Chris Dorback, Honda Bond and Right Stuff are up there too. I've had some issues with Right Stuff, especially in the cheese can. It might be an age issue of sitting on the shelf too long or sitting on a warehouse. But I have had issues with Right Stuff in the past where the stuff would not cure, like at all. It would just, do its little puffy thing, and then you'd seal it, and it just would leak. So that's why I stopped using Right Stuff. Seth Rogers, Freightliner dealership tech here. Have you ever worked on any of our engines? I I've worked on Freightliners. That had a 3126 cat in it. Biggest I've worked on is medium duty. I've never worked on anything bigger than medium duty. ISO, what's up? But 3126 cat, 3116 cat, Cummins, Renault, Ford. What was the other one? What was whatever the Mac cab over engine was as well. Trying to complain, no, I've never worked on an ISB or an ISL. It's been a long time since I worked on. Appreciate MT. Yeah, if you don't mind, thumbs up. No, it's been a very, very long time, as in over 20. 22 years since I've worked on a medium duty truck. James Jones, have you seen many issues with the newer 3.0 diesels in GMC 1500s? Looking into buying a new truck here soon. I know they have the dang oil pump belt, but I'm okay with do that repair. I have absolutely zero experience with the 3.0 diesels at all. I've never worked on one. I've never even seen one. So I really can't give you any advice on that one. Raymond, what's up? Yeah, unfortunately, I don't work on diesels anymore, and you know, I've literally, I don't think I've even seen a 3.0 diesel on the road, which is surprising for Atlanta. Freightliner has put some common components in really stupid spots to fix, but I'm sure that's engineers. Seth Rogers, Cummins got sued for SRT some years ago. Did that affect the lighter duty side of Cummins powertrain? I don't think so. But, you know, I could be wrong on that. I haven't paid a lot of attention to Cummins legal wranglings or emissions. You know, I know Volkswagen got raked over the coals for their stuff, and like I think every manufacturer of diesel vehicles in the United States was like, no, I didn't do that either at all. Raymond Lopez just got off of work. Well, cool. Now you're not on work. So what else we got going on? James Jones, have you had any regrets on your GMC or major issues? No major issues. Regrets. Nah, I mean it's been a good truck. Haven't had. Let me take that back. I had not long after I bought it, I had a check engine light come on for a phantom misfire. There's a TSB for a reflash. That's the only problem I've had with that truck. It just runs. So no problems with it at all, other than that. Positivity Incarnate. If you had to buy a new truck today, which one would you buy and why? Do you mean brand new vehicle or just new to me? Because I'm not really looking forward to buying 8S everything cars. Raymond Lopez, repeat a vehicle. You repaired a vehicle that the dealership couldn't fix it. Yes. I mean, the thing about it is sometimes it's literally just a different perspective on fixing whether or not a car gets fixed. So just because a dealership looked at it, not saying anything about them, improperly diagnosing it or anything like that. I mean, I've misdiagnosed cars. If you haven't misdiagnosed a car, you're lying. I've sent cars to the dealership that I know they fixed that I didn't want to mess with, mostly because of security and requiring a factory scan tool is usually where I drew the line. Simply because if I need to replace a component and redo security and that doesn't fix it, then the shop has to pay for the mobile guy to come back out to do security relearn, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a losing proposition when the tech at the dealership knows the vehicle better, can program it with his, scan tool easily. So, but yes, I've fixed cars dealerships couldn't. I fixed cars that other shops couldn't. It just is, if you're good at your job, you're going to fix cars that other people don't. BMW E39, 2023 Dodge Ram Cummins, 6.7 regular automatic transmission, 51,000 miles. Is it time to do oil change on the transmission? Yes. I would go to the dealership, get the correct transmission fluid. It's going to be ungodly expensive because that uses a ZF transmission, I believe. And change the fluid on that transmission. The thing about fluids is you can never do it too much. So yes, I would change that fluid, bite the bullet, spend money. It's going to be expensive, but yes, I would. You can't go wrong with changing transmission fluid, especially often. So I'm considering getting a Kingpin tool since I work on FedEx trucks a lot. Of Ford strip chassis, step vans, and Freightliners, any brand you would recommend? What is that brand? Oh. Not that brand. Not that. Tiger Tool. See, what I would recommend would be Tiger Tool. Oh, that's expensive. Ow. It's as expensive as my Snap-on. Oh, ow. Where is this? Is Tiger Tool directly? Ouch. Oh, maybe not that brand. Damn, that's expensive. Orihetra? Heavy duty, medium. I don't know, dude. They're really expensive. I mean, I don't think my one from Snap-on was that expensive. It was expensive, but don't think it was that one. That might be for a big truck though. That might be for a semi. Um, yeah, I don't have any recommendations on that one unless you're willing to spend that much money. Um, the one I used back in the day before I bought my Snap-on was just a no-name one that I don't know where it is. So I don't have a good recommendation on that. MT Chevy GMC truck. D Young, trying to stay away from the gimmicky small diesels. I work for Dodge. We see a ton of issues with the 3.0 Eco Diesel. He would know better than me. I mean, that's obviously not the same diesel, but ISO, when are we going to admit ADAS systems suck? I don't have a problem admitting they suck. I want to drive my own car. I don't want you telling me what I can and can't do. And they do make everything more expensive. Safety features always make a car more expensive. Darren Locke, stay away from the Ford 6-liter Power Stroke. Well, yeah. Seth Rogers, have you ever loaded the parts cannon? I find the major fleets are very guilty of this sin. LOL. Yes. Honestly, when not on the customer's dime, more as a testing step. Usually when something's acting really weird or intermittent or something of that nature, I will order a part, put it in, try to see if it fixes it. But that's without selling it to the customer. I've sold possible fixes like that of shotgun simply because I can't recreate the problem. Where simply you can't make it do it while it's at the shop, and you're like, this might fix it. This is a good bet it's going to fix it. But because I can't duplicate it, I can't test for it. But it's generally pretty rare. Normally I just test and find out what's wrong. So it's usually when you can't replicate it, or you can replicate it, but it's like every once in a great while. D Young says trans fluid 50K on Cummins truck. James Jones, in between the 5.3 of the diesel. Hopefully that wasn't in the mic. Sorry if it was. 5.3 gas or 3.0 GMC. Just don't see many trucks in my shop, so I don't know of the common issues. Like the newer 6.2s have major issues with the motors. 5.3 is generally pretty good in new trucks. Change the oil every 5,000 miles with full synthetic. There are some common issues, obviously, camshaft failures. I believe in the newer ones, they have issues with the valve springs breaking on certain engines. But generally, they're pretty decent. The oil pump control valve may go out, stuff like that. Heard good things from the 3.0 Duramax, except for the oil pump belt causes like 5 to 7K to replace every 100,000. Raymond Lopez, have you bad clock spring interfere with the cluster? I have never had a bad clock spring interfere with Cluster, I've had a bad clock spring cause wheel controls not to work. I've had airbag fault codes caused by a bad spiral cable, but I've never had it cause any issues with the cluster. I mean, it's possible if there's communication lines to the steering wheel itself, but I don't know of any car that does that, so I don't think so, Raymond. Tiger Tool OEM or OTC for Kingpin Press. T-Corrals, I mean, Tiger Tool has a bushing puller, like $2,000, not including the pump, and you got to buy the attachment to fit puller. Yeah, fifth wheel, or he says fifth wheel or bushing puller. Oh, yes, it will cause if there's steering. Like I said, it's steering wheel controls. So yeah, it can cause the controls to whack out. ISO, does Lisle make a good toolkits? Yes. Lisle does make good tools. They have some less than good stuff, but most of their stuff is good. Raymond Lopez, I have no communication with the cluster or the whole car. As James Jones says, test high and low can lines. If nobody worked on it, it's unlikely you might have a that's find out that you found out the clock spring is bad. Well, good find, I guess. Foxbox, I don't like how GMs ride. They always feel stiff. Anyone else? My GMC rides great. I don't have any complaints. I mean, it's my wife doesn't like the seats in the GMC. I do personally. She didn't like leather seats either. But I've always enjoyed the ride on GM vehicles. Bushing for the fifth wheel, you can use a slide hammer to remove. Quick Wrench, Tool Junkie, anything OTC, check out Calvan first. They make a lot of OTC tools. If I could spell. Does not look like Calvan has a Kingpin press. So, I don't think they make it for OTC. MT GM 3.0 Duramax belt was up to 200,000 miles. James Jones, KYB shocks and struts. I love them, but hate them because they always ride stiffer for a solid 5K until they break in. If you talk to KYB engineers, they specifically tune them to have a stiffer ride than OEM in most cases because of degraded suspension. They actually want, according to them, I mean, I don't know. I prefer KYB in most things. But they actually deliberately make them stiffer. GM trucks ride the best and drive way better. Foxbox 923. When you're off of work, do you ever see a car and know you worked on it? Yeah. I will tell you a story about a Thunderbird. This was many years ago. And it was at the old shop, and distinctive teal Thunderbird, and she lives where I live. Now, this Thunderbird had over 300,000 miles on it. She loved that car. Like, she wanted to buy another Thunderbird for a parts car. And I was in traffic driving home, and she was in front of me. And all I could think of is, please don't break down in front of me. Please don't break down in front of me. But it was a very distinctive car, and, you know, but yes, I've run into cars I know I've worked on. I mean, there's a bunch of, like when I worked for a fleet shop, and I would not remember the numbers of the tag. I've got a weird memory with that kind of stuff, and I'd be in traffic, and like a garage door company, I worked on a bunch of their stuff, and I would know every one of the units I've worked on. So yeah. T. Corrales, I don't know. I don't do that kind of stuff. James Jones, nice to know. I just keep your Bilsteins. ISO, does OTC make better kits than Lisle? Depends on what it is. Most of the stuff by Lisle is of Chinese manufacturer. But OTC US made stuff is really good. So it'd definitely be on a case by case basis. And I think OTC actually does rebrand some Lisle stuff as OTC. Detroit axle struts are shockingly good quality. Never heard of them. Yeah, no, I've never heard of this company. But then again, I also don't deal with parts anymore at the current shop, so James Doan, have you taken the L4 yet? And if so, how bad was it? I have not taken the L4. I don't do any of the ATIS stuff. Darren Locke, I don't like how some Chryslers, they thought of after the battery as an afterthought by putting the fender area bumper. What are your thoughts? Chrysler does it. GMC does it. Or under seats. BMW trunks. Ferrari, I think, does it behind a wheel. I hate it, but it is what it is. My biggest problem with batteries mounted like that generally have some of the worst corrosion on the planet at a battery, because nobody ever You know, because nobody ever touches them, and only a shop will do them. So, Chris, Detroit Axle, who sells them now? I mean, it's been a year and a half since I've looked up parts, so. Okay, so I'm looking at fuel pressure test kits. That's why I asked. I would personally push you towards I would push you more towards the circuit or the circuit or the here. But the circuit is really good. Or Lang. Lang Tools as well has a good kit, but that's where I would go is the circuit. These basic ones don't really hook up to much modern stuff nowadays, so I wouldn't recommend those. Detroit Axle is a brand sold on eBay. I agree their suspension stuff isn't bad at all. Okay, ISO. I don't deal with eBay stuff. It looked a lot like the private label stuff that WorldPack has. Those were kind of hit and miss, but I've had good success with them. Where, especially during COVID, they were actually more reliable than KYB as far as the complete strut kits. Does keep away from the engine. James Jones, highly recommend the Matco fuel pressure test kit. It has almost every adapter you'll need. However, it's expensive. Does someone else make that kit? Yeah, Lang. It's last time I checked, it was cheaper through Matco than Lang. But it's made by Lang Tools. JWC Tech, Detroit Axle is one of the biggest sellers of suspension parts on Amazon. Some are trashed from the reviews, but I know people say they're decent quality. Foxbox, do you have an email we can email you at? It's flatratemaster@gmail.com. One word. No caps, just flatratemaster@gmail.com. Make sure I spelled it right. Flatratemaster@gmail. Chris, we buy directly from their website. Used to have a personal rep, 10-year warranty, 1-2 days shipped. No, it's cool. I haven't had, like I said, I don't deal with parts anymore, so I get it. I stick it on unless it's for personal stuff, and then OEM. So, but going back to the pressure tester, I have the Matco. Literally my tester, but it's made by Lang Tools. All right. $41. It's weird. Got any more questions? Oh. All right. Well, any other questions? We don't got any more questions. I guess I'm going to go ahead and head out here. So I appreciate everybody stopping by. As always, thanks for watching. I am the Flatratemaster. All right.